And welcome to our Radha Shakti Krishna Katha for Purushottam month special. And today we have our Taruni Radha, our very own sweet Taruni Radha, who is our speaker today. And she will be sharing about the deliverance of the serpent Kaliya. So Taruni Radha is a very wise devotee and her devotion is very inspiring. She is all-rounder. Excellent mother, wonderful disciple, very loving friend, and a very sincere devotee, and a professional woman as well. So I look forward to hear from her. I'm teasing her more because she came a little late.
I'm sorry, I really apologize. I was
No
just thinking,
problem.
I knew I'm going to be like 3 minutes, but then I wanted to just put a message. I'm going to be like 3 minutes late. But then that WhatsApp has got like filled up. I need to like transfer. The storage is done. So that's the reason. I really apologize. And I was
No
thinking
problem.
how, the pastime that I'm speaking today is Kaliya Daman. And then, Krishna is dancing the expert break dancer, like how Sri Radha Govinda Mataji says. He keeps on, he keeps waiting till all the Brajvasis, especially gopis, everybody's assembled. Only then he starts dancing. So I was thinking, okay, let all the speakers, all the listeners, everybody who's going to be coming, let them all, slowly arrange, accumulate. Sometimes some people are like 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late. I was like, okay, I'll give them time, let them all come, and then let's start the class. All right, so I didn't prepare any PPT as such, so I'll just be like speaking about the whole pastime and then some of the important lessons that we can learn from this. Beautiful Leela, actually, and very, very special, special soul. Kaliya is a very special soul. When you think about his previous life, we can understand that he's just not an ordinary soul. He's performed a lot of austerities. His previous life, Kaliya was Vedashira, and in the Swayambhuva Manu, right, during that time, right, he was Sira, and he had performed a lot of austerity in his ashram. And at that time, then another Rishi called Ashvashara, he comes to visit him. And then when he comes to visit him, right, he'll be like, he also wants to, perform austerity in the same ashram. That time, Vedashira is like very, very, what do you say? He feels like he cannot tolerate that another rishi is coming in the same ashram and he wants to practice. This ashram will be located in the Vindhya mountains. So he'll feel very, jittery, and then he'll say, why have you come like that? And Ashira is like, hey, you're a sage and you're feeling so uneasy. You think this ashram belongs to you? This belongs to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And then how can you, claim territorial proprietorship over this? You are so envious, dear Vedashira. You should just become like a snake because snakes are very envious by nature. So your nature just suits a snake's body. So probably you should just become like a snake. That's what Ashwashira will say. And Vedashira is like, he's shocked and he's like, you know what? I did make a small offense. Yes, I agree. But then giving such a big curse for something so small that I did, Ashwashira, you're like a crow mentality. You're just like, they say like there's a saying where it's Prabhupada says the bees go where there is honey, and then crows and all these lower kind of birds, they go where there is garbage. Even if you give them some nice food, they'll go where there is garbage and then they'll pick up. So wherever there is fault, they just magnify it and then they just attracted towards the sour. They don't go towards the sweet honey. So you're like the crow, my dear Ashwashara. So you should become like a crow. And then they both have gone to curse, and then they are rishis, right? So obviously Krishna is going to uphold their words. And Vishnu at that time he appears and then he says, Vishnu at that time he appears and says, my dear devotees, Vedashira and Ashvashira, you both are very dear to me. So definitely I will, I want to bless you. I want to intervene at this point, Vedashira. Even though you become a snake, you will still have my mercy. And Ashvashira, you will become the basundi in the crow in the Ramayana Leela, and you will remember all the Vedas, he'll say. And Vedashira, you will have the footprints of my footprints on your head, because of which Garuda will not be able to attack you. That's the benediction Vishnu will give to both these souls. So they have done a lot of austerities and penances. These souls, especially I'm talking right now about Kaliya. So Vedashira in his Vedashira in his previous life, look at the amount of austerity and penance that he did, that Vishnu had to intervene and say that I will, protect you. So we can understand the greatness and importance of austerities and penances that we undertake. Like say in this Purushottamani, people are doing whatever to their capacity, whatever austerities and penances, right? And we might think, oh, this is very small I'm doing, and the other person is doing so much, or I'm doing so much, and feel proud or feel very, little about ourselves, that we're not doing as much as others. We should not be thinking about what the other person is doing. We should take inspiration, but at the same time, we should be happy that this is the best that I can do. Krishna doesn't see, like, say, Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, he always says, our Guru Maharajas, they usually say, Krishna doesn't see how much you give him, he sees how much you keep, right? And then the other day also we were speaking in the Bhagavatam class. Do you remember, Mataji, we were discussing about this point, that what we give to others, it belongs to us. It's actually ours. And what we keep ourselves hidden, right, in our houses, banks, wherever we are hoarding it, right, that is actually belonging to somebody else, because we are never going to be able to enjoy it in our next, once we die and go, it goes to somebody else. So what we give comes with us when in our future lives, if at all we have to take birth over here. So that's what it is. So once we give, the giving mentality, and then not having this mentality of enviousness is something very, very important. And Kaliya in this Leela, he represents this, he's a personification of envy, treachery, cunningness. So that's the reason we need to focus on how much we are having the same mentality. And the way this Leela goes on, as I explained, right? You'll see how Kaliya, even when he, in the next birth, when he becomes a snake, right? And then let me explain that, and then I'll come back to this point. When he takes birth, during the Chakshusha Manvantara, Prajapati Daksha, he gives birth to like 12 beautiful daughters. He has many daughters, like 60 of them, and 12 of these daughters are given in marriage to Kashyapa Muni. And then Kadru is one of those daughters who gets married to Kashyapa Muni. And Kadru is actually Rohini Devi, who gives birth to Balaram, Anantashesh, right? So before she is like Rohini, as Kadru, what happens is she gives birth to this Kaliya. She gives birth to many, many snakes. All the entire the species of snakes take birth from her womb. Some of them have 100 heads, some of them have 1,000 heads. So among them, we have Vishwashira, who becomes a Kaliya. And we also know that how Anantashesh, who is born out of Mother Rohini, he is Balaram. He is the one who's holding the entire Bhumandala on his head, balancing it. So technically, Kaliya is like a brother of Balaram. So that's the reason you'll see later in the pastime of how he'll take help of Balaram, Kaliya. So then we see Kaliya has already taken birth, and then he's happily living in this one of these islands called Ramanaka Dvipa. In the Ramanaka Dvipa, right? He's happily there. He's one of the chief serpents on this island, the Nagalaya, or the Ramanaka Dvipa. This is a place where all the snakes are there, and he's the chief Kaliya. And it's very, Garuda is very accustomed to eating snakes. So he'll come there and he'll be killing a lot of snakes. And sometimes it's a little more, like unnecessarily, he'll be killing a little more. So then all these reptiles will become very much disturbed. And then they'll talk to their leader, Vasuki, and they'll say, we need some protection. They'll go and appeal to Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma will make an arrangement. Garuda, please don't create this kind of a disturbance. On each half moon day, the reptile community will offer you a snake, my dear Garuda. So just be happy with it. They will put the snake under the sacrificial tree, and then you take it and then be pleased. So then Garuda will agree, and everything goes on well. The reptiles, all these snakes are very happy. Garuda is happy. Everybody is pleased. So if this is the arrangement which is made, Kaliya should have just followed it, right? But what happens is, like, Kaliya is so much so proud, right? Envy and pride goes together like two brothers. So he's very proud of himself, and then he'll say, why should I give, why should I offer this sacrifice to what do you call, Garuda, I will just, he'll just take it away. He'll eat it. There'll be not only the snake, he will be offering other sweets and everything. So he'll just finish off the entire thing. Garuda gets very upset because this is a transcendental. I mean, this is the arrangement which they would have done with Lord Brahma, who's the creator, right? And then how can he just disregard the orders of the superior? And then Garuda gets very upset. First and foremost, remember, when somebody is hungry, the amount of the anger or the wrath that they kind of display is a lot. It's very much. But when somebody is like pacified, they've eaten and they're like, good, the way they behave is like much better. Especially conditioned soul under the modes, it's very difficult for them to control this what do you say, the hunger. And then because of that hunger, they can show very different, very bad behavior. But here we are talking not just about the hunger and then the upset being Garuda being upset. Garuda is a very pure devotee. He is a carrier of Vishnu, correct? He's a carrier of Vishnu. As such, he's not like a conditioned soul and then he's exhibiting anger because he is very hungry. It's not like that, but it's just a Leela, it's a pastime. So he starts, chasing Kaliya everywhere. Kaliya tries to escape and then he tries to attack the wings of Garuda, but then Garuda is like, he will again hit him and then they just chase all over the Bhumandala, all across the 7 dvipas, the 7 khandas and 7 oceans. And then Kaliya will flee to he'll flee to Purloka, Varloka, Swargaloka, Maharloka, Chanaloka, everywhere, and the lower planets, to everywhere he tries to go, but then he cannot escape Garuda. At last, Kaliya just humbles himself and he comes down to Anantashesh, because when he goes down to the lower bottom regions, right there, we have Anantashesh who's carrying the entire Bhumandala on his what do you say, countless hoods. So there, Kaliya finally approaches, Anantashesh, and he asks him, please help me, I'm under distress. Garuda is going to come and, attack me and kill me. I need your shelter. So whenever a soul comes and then humbles himself and asks for shelter, it is the nature of Krishna. It's the nature of Balram, the Adi Guru, to always give protection, no matter what is what do you say, whatever bad action that they would have that soul has performed, like Kaliya has done. He's eaten, he is wrong, he needs to be punished. Still, when he humbles and asks for shelter, it's the greatness of Anantashesh, who's Balram, who'll say, don't worry, I have a place for you. This place is in the in Yamuna River in Sri Vrindavan Dham. You go there and stay there. The reason why Garuda will not come and attack you is because there's this story where Shabari Muni, he'll be performing his austerities in Vrindavan under the waters of Yamuna River. And then that time Garuda was like, Garuda is a bird and he's a reptile. It's his nature to eat fish from the rivers. So he'll come and he'll be eating fish. And then Shabari Muni will think that, this is his territory, same kind of territorial, proprietorship, that this is his place. And then he also feels not only that this is his place, he also is a sage, so a little bit higher consciousness. He feels that I should be responsible for protecting all these ocean, all these river creatures in Yamuna. How can this Garuda just come and, poor thing, take away the king of this fishes over here and eat him? This is not good. I'm taking shelter of this river. I should also provide shelter, a little bit higher consciousness. But then his compassion is ill-placed, because his compassion is going against the will of the Lord, because the Lord's arrangement is Garuda is a reptile and it is his nature to eat. And how can you, take away the food or the prasadam of pure devotee of the Lord Krishna? It is against Krishna's will. So his compassion goes against Krishna's will, and that's the reason why he gets implicated. Sabari Muni. Okay, so and whenever Garuda used to eat that fish, right? He was doing it because all other eagles, right, who are following, who are in his family, he was also acting like an ordinary, what do you say, an ordinary bird for all of them to follow. If he just gave up eating these fishes and snakes, right? What would they do? They would have to follow what Garuda is doing, and then they would die. So because of that, he had to just follow his, the bodily nature, whatever he got as an eagle. This is what eagles do. So he wanted to do that. That is one thing. Second thing is like the snakes that Garuda used to eat. He was releasing that soul from that horrible, snake body. So a soul gets the body of a snake when they're very envious of somebody in their previous life.
and that's the reason snakes and scorpions are very envious. That's the reason why they get that particular birth. So we should watch out for that, because when we are envious, we might land up becoming a snake or a scorpion in our next life. So this is one thing. So, and what is Garuda doing? He's releasing those souls from that, that particular body by offering that soul back to Vishnu. So that's what Garuda is doing. So it is like a win-win situation. He's helping his own people, and at the same time, he's also releasing that soul entrapped in the snake body. So this is something which Sabari Muni could not realize and understand. So then what happens? He falls down. He will see the meeting of two fish in front of him. He's like for 1,000 years performing austerity under the waters. So, like I explained previously, we might be performing austerities, but then while performing austerities, if we offend or if we make any mistake, right, then that austerity itself can just become a reason for us to fall down by just becoming attracted to some simple small things which will trigger the inner desire to enjoy, do sense gratification. So somebody Muni, he'll just think like, he should also get married. The desire comes, he gets married to 50 daughters of Mantaka Rishi. And then he just becomes like a householder. So that is, he falls down from his position, right? So why does it happen? Because he offends our mighty Garuda, the eagle carrier of our Vishnu. So Mandata Muni, sorry, Mandata Muni. So then he just continues. And then Garuda doesn't come to catch Kaliya. Garuda doesn't come to this river Yamuna to, like, what do you say, kill Kaliya, because he's taking shelter over there. And Garuda also, we should think about his fantastic behavior, because see, Garuda could have said like, I'm a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Why should I just follow this curse or this mandate that Sabri Muni is putting, that I should not enter this Yamuna river? He is so humble. He'll say, he's a rishi, he's a Muni, and then I will uphold his words. Whatever he says, if he says that I should not enter the river of the Yamuna river, Kaliya river, I will not do that. So that is his greatness of how humble, as a devotee becomes very high in their high in their consciousness, or more advanced, they don't mind upholding the words of those who are even lower. You know, that's the way. That's a sign of an advancement. It is not like I will say, and everybody below me should follow. They are so humble that they even follow the words of those who are below them, even those who are dependents. I've seen many cases. But the what do you say? The words, what do you say, the desire of the disciple is like upheld by the spiritual master. They don't have to do that. They can just, give the order and say, hey, you just do this, and this is what I want. But then no, they just go and say, okay, this is your desire. And then they will actually, go about doing things for the disciple. How sweet is that? Just like how the Lord does, just like how his pure devotee God is manifesting in this pastime. And then we can see how Kaliya will just go about his life, just living in the Yamuna rivers, because he's so full of what do you say, envy, right? The poison which he keeps emanating, it um, it pollutes the waters of the pure Yamuna river, right? He doesn't actually live inside the Yamuna. There's a lake which is close by. In that lake, the Kaliya lake, he was like living over there. So yet that water was so poisonous, because imagine if he was in the Yamuna, the whole of Mathura would have just got poisoned and all the people would have died. So he was living in a lake adjacent, close by to it, and the waters of Yamuna was going to what do you say? A little bit of that water was being directed into this lake in which this Kaliya was there. The entire water was polluted. All the trees, shrubs, everything around this particular lake was like dying. They were not able to grow. Why? Because of the poison. And then even the birds could not fly over this lake, because the fumes, the poisonous fumes which was coming in the air, was just polluting and killing even these poor creatures who were flying. So this was a situation that Kali had created in Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan is very special because Krishna, everything over there is for Krishna's pleasure and enjoyment, and Krishna gets the highest amount of sense, happiness. Sense means all his senses are completely satisfied, and they attain the highest bliss in Sri Vrindavan. And imagine the lakes, the rivers, the bees, the birds, everything gives Krishna so much of pleasure. And you're in his own dham, this is the situation. So Krishna can't, tolerate it. So one day what happens is Balram, it's mentioned that he doesn't come that day because it's his birthday. And all these boys will just go, and then all at once they're like drinking water. and then they got their calves and all. They all are drinking water at the same time, and then they all just fall unconscious because of the deadly, what do you say, the poison. And then when Krishna comes, he's like, he sharply understands he's the Supreme Lord, right? So just by his sweet glance on the Gopa boys and the cows, right, they all just get revived and then they come back to life. And then it's said that, as soon as the boys come back, they're like, what is the, what do you say, what is the mystery behind our being revived back to life? It must be none other than the glance, the sweet glance, the nectarian glance, Krishna is what they, they feel. And because they see the difference between this Rajvasi's love. They are seeing Krishna as a cause of all causes. They are not going, they're not finding any other reason like, oh, it must have been like some nectar fell into my mouth, or like, because of the touch of some herb, I got revived. They just, for them, their first primary cause is Krishna. And they always say that it's because of Krishna that I'm alive. It's because of Krishna's beautiful, sweet glance that, and that has revived me. So that's how this is such a beautiful lesson. That when we are going through life, we are just seeing all these remote causes, but we are not seeing the primary cause, who's Krishna, Sarvakarana Karanam. We forget him, and that's the reason why all these we're so much attracted to, understanding the situations and circumstances in our life based on all these remote causes, which are not the real thing. Like say somebody is doing something bad, we're forgetting Krishna in the picture, and something bad happens, ill health, or wealth is gone, or child something happens, accidents, whatever. We are just looking at the these other causes. We're not looking at the primary cause, who is Krishna. And then whenever Krishna puts somebody or something, allows something to happen in our life, he has a reason, and we are not looking at that reason. He has a reason to purify us, to make us understand that this place isn't fit for us, and we belong to him. So this is something, this is the message that he's trying to give us, and this is how we need to also um, you know develop the consciousness or mold our consciousness, see that he is Sarvakarana Karanam. He is the main root cause, Krishna. And then we see Krishna will actually, after reviving all of them, there'll be this one tree, Kadamba tree, which is still, it'll still be alive. It's kind of interesting that this tree, which is very close to this Kaliya lake, how is it that this tree is still alive? All the trees around it are dead and they're gone. They're like, completely wilted. How is it? Is because Garuda, right, when he was carrying the nectar pot, he would have, some few drops of nectar would have fallen on this tree. And that's the reason why this Kadamba tree continues to be alive. And some also say, some commentators, that just with the touch of Krishna's feet, the Kadamba tree just comes back to life. And then in Vrindavan Dham, this tree, Kadamba tree, is still present. The same tree, the very same tree that Krishna, climbed up to jump into the Kaliya lake is still present. It's a very beautiful place, and it's very nice. And so Krishna just jumped up from the tree. He just, he will tie his waistcloth and then he'll get ready and he'll say, okay, fine. Just like, how the swimmers, they'll just go on top and then they'll jump and, they'll do the deep dive. That's exactly what Krishna does. He'll tie up his yellow, what do you say? He'll the waistcloth, and then he'll dive directly into the Kaliya lake. And then when we see, like, if you have a glass of water, and then if you drop a smaller object, right, the amount of water that gets displaced is very little. It's equal to the volume of the small object that we have thrown, right? But then when Krishna jumps into the Kaliya lake, right, the amount of water which comes out is like so much. If it start overflowing, it's like, Krishna is like tiny, like, he's not even 7 years is when he looks Govardhan Hill. So this happens even before that. And then you see the amount of water which overflows is like so much. And then the commentator says it's because it's Krishna. He's a supreme lord. He's not just an ordinary boy. And then he just jumps inside, and then there's Kaliya. Kaliya will get to know that, oh my God, another, some intruder has come. And then this just agitates Kaliya very much. And he's like, immediately, this is my territory. How can somebody come? The pride, that envy, that, that malicious nature, it just gets invoked. The cruelty, that, everything comes up, it just awakens. It's just a trigger. Krishna jumping was just a trigger for all these things which are already in the heart of Kaliya to just
just come out. Like how Shraddha Govinda Mataji had explained that day. When you squeeze an orange, you just get orange juice. So when you squeeze Kaliya, all you get is envy and maliciousness, and then so much of pride. So then when Krishna jumps, and then he'll immediately come, and he'll try to attack Krishna. And then Krishna is like, in the beginning, Krishna just allows Kaliya to, like, embrace him with his coil. The coil is just, what do you say, he just completely embraces Krishna with his fantastic serpentine body, right? And then Krishna is like completely tied up, and then he's, for the Lord, right? He might be Kaliya. For us, he might be the snake right now, right? But for him, he's another, he's a part and parcel of Krishna. So Krishna is he's experiencing the warm embrace of this Kaliya, and then he's enjoying it. And then Kaliya tries to even, what do you say, try to like press him. And then Krishna just allows all that to keep happening. And then he's just there. He's like, he's not even reacting. And then some commentators of the Bhagavatam say, well, he's just telling, oh, Kaliya, come on, you can try whatever you want to do. You just do it. I'll show you my strength later on, dear Kaliya. Continue. Keep trying. Good luck, like that. And then here, on the other hand, right, with our Rajvasis, they are seeing all ill omens happening, and they're like really scared as soon as something, they're seeing, they're experiencing these ill omens. They're like, "Where's my Krishna? Where's my Krishna? Oh my God, Krishna is gone with that Balram today to graze the crowds. Let's go search what's happening to our Lala." So when they start searching, and then how they find him is very interesting. They follow the footprints of Krishna in the beautiful sands of Shivandavan Dham. The beauty of this is, all these Rajvasis carefully preserve the footprints of Krishna. So they don't step over it. They're like so many Rajvasis, so many cows, so many gopas, but nobody steps on the footprints of Krishna, which is so interesting. And so you can just see the love that they have. So just by, following those footprints, right, they reach the place of the place of this Kaliya lake, where Krishna is completely coiled, under, what is it, coiled up in Kaliya's body. So then when they find out, right, that this is what's happened, they're like in shock. They're not able to, witness their darling, Krishna, the apple of their eye. He is, what do you say? He is going through this kind of a situation. They're like shocked. They're like grief stricken. They're like crying, and they're like, I can't even go back to Vrindavan. How can they go? Their heart is with Krishna. And then without Krishna, how can we even live in Vrindavan? Oh, Krishna, they want to help him. And they're like experiencing so much intense separation, intense pain, intense grief. And just imagine seeing a loved one, being in that situation. It's very, very difficult. So they're experiencing all that, and Krishna is just witnessing, and he's just enjoying that, the intensity of their love for him. And then he keeps, he's enjoying so much that he's so still that he's not even moving. At one point, it just strikes him that, oh my God, if I continue like this, they're just going to leave their life, leave their body. I should do something. So immediately when he feels that they're just going to leave their body, that's when he just expands himself, and Kali cannot hold him in his, tight embraced, the coils. And then he just, escapes. And then he goes inside out, all around. And Kaliya is trying to, like, what do you say? With his fangs, right? He tries to, like, bite Krishna, on his chest. He keeps on going like that. But then nothing happens to Krishna. He's Supreme Lord Krishna. Right? How can anybody try to kill Krishna, especially a small water snake like Kaliya? Impossible. So in this point, I just wanted to pause and say, like, sometimes the intensity, the situation which is going through our life, Krishna is allowing it to happen so that the deeper emotions are, the deeper emotions just get it comes, and then we're really crying out for Krishna. Exactly like what happened, right? Just when he understands that it's too much for the soul to go through, he just changes the situation completely. So sometimes it's like so hard, and then you're like, oh, we're already waist deep, Krishna. And then sometimes he just allows some more water to come to your neck, till your, till your chest, and then you're like, oh, this is too much, Krishna. And then sometimes it's till your neck, this is too much, Krishna. Sometimes it's like, almost a little bit of your head or your eyes is like exposed, and then Krishna just pulls you out like that. Sometimes situations happen like that. It's very intense, even more intense, much more than you can handle. But then Krishna knows what is your threshold, and then exactly the threshold, when it becomes more than what you can handle, which he knows, he just pulls you out, exactly like what he does over here. And then we see now Krishna is like, playing with Kaliya, like he's going in and out and everywhere. And Kaliya is like, where is he? Where is he? It's like Krishna is like zooming in and out, right? That Kaliya feels he's here, and then he tries to, what is attack him. It's like he's here, and then he tries to attack him everywhere. He's trying, but then it's like Krishna is everywhere at the same time. He's not there. That's what he does. And then he's having so much fun. And then after some time, he just jumps on the hoods of Kaliya. And then because he's trying to like bite them at this point, right? And then he jumps on the hoods of one of the hoods of Kaliya. And then from the other hood, right, he tries to again attack Krishna's chest by like, putting his venomous poison into his body, but nothing happens. Then whenever that particular hood comes up, Krishna just jumps on that hood. Whenever the other hood like tries to compete and then again go to Krishna, again he jumps on that hood. So like it's like expert. Krishna is Natabara, right? He's the expert dancer. He just goes from one hood to the other, one hood to the other. And then when he's dancing, right, it's like with real intensity, he's coming on in the head of Kaliya and then he's, placing his foot. So when he's doing that, the poison, which is present in Kaliya's body, is just coming out in the form of smoke. And then he's just vomiting some of the poison. This is what's happening. And then he's feeling slowly fatigued. Kaliya feels fatigued, but Krishna is not. He's just enjoying the dance, and then he also he dances so that one of the Dasi reasons is our acharyas explained that especially for the gopis, to impress them and say that look at me, I'm able to dance. Look at me, just to impress them. That is Krishna's inner mood. He wants to always give pleasure to them. And then also, when Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya, all the other motherly gopis, and the girl, the elderly men, when they see, they're like, oh, look, our Krishna is dancing. And then from there, they're like crying so much, cried so much that the tears are, that as soon as one tear falls, the other one is coming. So it's like flowing of tears are happening. And then when they see that, right, they're like revived and like, so much of astonishment and deep relief. They just look up at him and then they're like mesmerized just seeing this dancing that is happening, and then they're like, wow, our Krishna is dancing. And then he's with the flute, he's like singing. And then up in the heaven, the desert, all these Gandharvas, Siddhas and Chandras, they all are like putting flowers and they're also appreciating. And then this continues. And then at one point, Kaliya is so much, all the poison, all the envy which is present in his heart, everything comes out. And then he's so fatigued, he's almost like dying. At that point, the Nagapatnis, they walk in and then they they request Krishna, they offer very beautiful prayers. They say, you are the soul of all souls, you are the Supreme Lord, you have come to perform these beautiful pastimes. And the person, you are Brahma, Vishnu, and Ishvara, but in the form of Vishnu, those who worship you as Vishnu, they attain the ultimate peace and satisfaction. And then you are the cause of all these desires which our husband has, and you're also the cause of the complete satisfaction, which a soul can experience. Only you and only you, my Lord, can protect him. And yeah, at one point, no, they'll feel like, what's the use of this husband who's so envious? If he's gonna die, let him die. It's fine. But then when they realize that look, he's getting the dust of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Even yogis and who do so much meditations and studies, they don't get it. They aspire for it. They don't get it. Look at the great fortune of our husband. So when they realize he's becoming a devotee by receiving this, right, at that time they come and intervene. So sometimes the life when a reckless conditioned soul is like going through so much of reaction for their sins, right? The mercy that Krishna is, and then they also say this is mercy, this is complete mercy. Whether you give mercy or whether you give punishment, it is all your mercy only, O Supreme Lord. How much of mercy you're giving to our husband by dancing like this, taking away all his poison, placing your dust of lotus feet on his head. So when Acharya say, when we understand that whatever is happening in our life is Krishna's mercy, or even if it's punishment that we're going through, then we can develop more faith, and then that love will increase. But then again, when we become envious in that situation, then we lose that opportunity to deepen our faith and love and devotion to Krishna. But the Nagapatnis, right? They are able to see it, and they express it verbally also.
And Krishna is obviously melted. They are devotees, and then Krishna always wants to help them, right? Then immediately, and also Kaliya, right? At that time, Kaliya is which he's almost unconscious. Then again, slowly he'll come to consciousness. He's not even able to speak because he's so much, he has no energy at that point. And then in his mind, he's very humbled at this point. And at that point, he also realizes this is no ordinary small boy. He's the Supreme Lord. And then he's also hearing the beautiful words of his wives, right? It's just like Ajamala on the bed. He's hearing the Vishnu Dutas and Yamudutas having the discussion, and then he's like fully alert. At that point, Kaliya is fully alert. He's just hearing and just hearing the glorification and the prayers of this of his wife. He's also getting purified because he is hearing those beautiful prayers. And then in that, they're explaining Krishna's supreme position. They're begging and begging for mercy. And then so prayers are so powerful. And then just hearing the prayers of these great souls, it purifies even Kaliya, right? And then he completely becomes aware of his situation. He's very humble, and then he prays to Krishna. Krishna, it's in the snake body. I have this natural instinct to feel angry and envy and having this pride. Oh, this is just my natural instinct. How will I get over my natural instinct if it's not your mercy? I can only appeal to you for your mercy, Krishna. Please give me your mercy and then help me to get over this condition, this kind of natural instincts that I have. I'm so conditioned for this. Only you can help me. So likewise, our conditioned natures, whatever it may be, right? It's very difficult to get over the conditioned natures or our natural responses or our natural instincts, the way we react, our thinking pattern. All this cannot be just broken by our own effort. We need the intervention of Krishna. And then Acharyas say, when we actually humble ourselves and cry to the Lord to remove these, like how Mataji says, character defects, right? Then Krishna intervenes and he will help. And we need his help. We cannot do it alone. If we keep trying like a small child, right? Trying to, what do you say, loosen ourselves from this tightly bounded rope on our hands, right? It's not possible. We need a liberated soul like our spiritual masters who are already free. Their hands are free, their hands are untied, so they can help us open it. And they are also doing it under who? By the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is empowering them to do it, and that's exactly why they come. They're able to untie or help us, right? So that's how it is. So this is our situation, exactly like Kaliya's. So when I speak this, right, I'm saying this for my own self, my own purification, and also I'm realizing how much this is the exact situation where I'm in. So much of conditioning, and unless I call out to the Lord, there's no way that I'm going to be released from this the horrible thinking pattern, the natural instincts, the conditioned thinking that I have. It's not possible. Only by their mercy, only by the mercy of Guru, Krishna, Vaishnavas, this can happen. So at that time, right, Krishna immediately says, Kaliya, I order you, leave this Yamuna lakes immediately and just go away, far away. Go back to your Ramantaka, that particular Dvipa where you were there. You just go stay at the Nagaloka place. Oh, sorry, it's not the Nagaloka, it's the Ramantaka Dvipa. You go there and stay. And Garuda will not touch you or hurt you or harm you simply because he sees my footprints on your heads, on the hoods, on your hoods. My footprints are there. When he sees it, Garuda will not harm you. Please go. And beauty of this pastime is Kaliya. Kaliya is one of those demons that doesn't get killed by Krishna. He's forgiven simply because of the intervention of Nagapatnis. So like that, when we have a devotee who is requesting on our behalf and praying on our behalf to the Supreme Lord will give us his mercy. But one thing we need to see, Kaliya he is a devotee now, but he has no place to live in Vrindavan Dham, right? So he's moved out of this Dham. So to enter Vrindavan Dham, we should not have any envy, right? If we have, we will not get a place in Vrindavan Dham to serve Supreme Lord Krishna. So he is a devotee now, but then he's far away. He's removed away from the association of these pure Brajvasis, their mood, their heart. I mean, just imagine living amongst such exalted devotees. For entrance or like even having the qualification to stay there, right? There must be no envy in the heart. And envy is very, very, it's just, what do you say? It's just stuck or like It's just part and parcel of this conditioned soul's nature, So that's one of very, very difficult to get over envy. All other anarthas, thus when you greed and you pride, illusion amongst that, right? Everything else can be kind of used or dovetailed in Krishna's service, except envy. Envy is very difficult. But yet we have some hope where, um, Srila Prabhupada is like explaining in one letter. It's very beautiful. I'll paraphrase it because of the interest of time. He's just telling, he's writing to one of to his disciples that yes, don't think that there's problems amongst your god brothers and god sisters or anything that is happening. It's the nature of a person to have faults in this world. It's the nature of everybody to have. There will be some faults, so we need to understand that you cannot expect like a utopian world where everything is perfect. It's just foolishness to think like that. It's not going to happen. And excuse me. And also be aware that even in the spiritual world, there is envy and there is competition, but this envy is based on Krishna. This service, this devotee is doing fantastic service for Krishna. Let me do better than this person for Krishna. So because it's centered on Krishna, right? The what do you say? The envy is present, but then it is transcendental envy. It is not envy of this material world. So that's what Prabhupada is explaining. We cannot expect an utopian world either here or there. It's the nature of the souls. But when you're keeping Krishna at the center and doing it for Krishna, you're bettering your service for Krishna, then that's nice. That's transcendental. That's what Prabhupada says. So this is something which we can see. And then we also see that how this envy in what do you say, in people in our community, we see sometimes those who are envious, they spoil the mentality of Haribol. They spoil the mentality of other devotees against you or others, right? They just spoil, and then sometimes Krishna allows this particular situation to happen. Like they're spoiling the minds, and then this some people just they accept it, and then they their opinion about you, whatever, it changes. It all happens, but then eventually, right, Krishna will expose this person's envy and in front of everybody. So eventually, right, that person will be exposed. So even though initially these envious people will prevail, and then they'll feel very bold, very bold, and then they'll feel like 2 minutes. Papa, yeah, they feel very they'll feel very bold, like yes, this particular thing happened and I could like convey or change the minds of these people. But then because of that what do you say, that initial success which Krishna allows, they'll feel like they will start doing it against Krishna himself. So it's very natural for them to do that, but then Krishna will expose them ultimately, and then he will protect his devotees. And sometimes he allows the envious people to attack the devotees, and then devotees are like put in a lower, in a very compromised position. But this is also Krishna's arrangement, but he's showing how the good and the bad work both in the world. And then, but yet it's not a permanent situation. He will show the envious, and then devotees will again regain their position, and the envious will be chastised by Krishna. So this is the way Krishna's pastime works over and over again, where the demoniac are always, corrected, punished, or chastised by Krishna in ways which is according to his liking, because Krishna has a way to deal with everybody, and then the way we think that correction has to be given might not be the way that Krishna feels, and then because he knows the soul eternally, right? He's eternally with them, and then he corrects them perfectly the way he thinks it should happen. So with this, then everything is said, then he goes away, Kaliya goes away, and then the Brajvasis are like so happy, and then they just embrace Krishna. They just hold him tight to their chest because they want to feel like he's there. You're like just imagine he's under this kind of situation, and then Krishna is so much happy. He's just like he's very happy to experience this love again. And then the Brahmanas say to Nanda Baba, please do this charity, please give this charity of cows and all these other things. And then Nanda Baba is giving charity. They're like it's all auspicious now, please do charity. That's Vedic culture again. And then we have Mother Yashoda. She's like hugging Krishna, and then she's just crying. That's motherly love, and then milk is flowing out of her breast, because the intense love when the mother has, that's when it happens like that. So this is Mother Yashoda, and then all the Gopa boys are also very elated. And now nobody wants to leave that place and go back to Vrindavan because there's Krishna over there, right? They don't want to leave. So this is the mood of Rajvasi. We can see how their mood is like heightened by Krishna's activities. Everything is centered about on Krishna. Krishna's welfare. Krishna is their life and soul. And then that's how all of these pastimes used to revolve over this. And then one of these, I would like to end with this. There are like a lot of what do you say, benefits by hearing Krishna's Balya Leela, which I also discovered while I was just preparing for this, which I did not know. That one of the first thing is like it's very, very Ramaniya for the ears. It's very delightful to hear. Second is like it's very attractive to the heart also. And the third one is any disinterest that we have in hearing Krishna Katha, right? By hearing the beautiful, the Balya Leela, right? That disinterest will also go away. Fourth one is even like small children and adults, different age groups, they all can kind of reduce relish this Krishna Katha or the Balya Leela of Krishna. So everybody enjoys it. And if somebody likes to hear, but they don't like to hear something, like some part, some particular pastimes, that they don't feel like that when they're hearing Balya Leela. When they're hearing the Balya Leela, disinterest also goes, and even that the propensity to not like something or like something, dislike something, that also goes away. So this is like the fourth benefit. And then fifth one is the heart gets really purified, and attraction and devotion towards Krishna is increased, because here we are seeing this small little child who's performing and killing big demons. Heart just feels like softened, right? Just imagine a small child. Whenever we think about the small children, right, our heart naturally becomes soft. Even my mother says this. Even a thief who's so cruel, and then even he, when he sees a small baby smile, right, even he smiles. Even his heart kind of melts. He might be the most cruel, what do you say, horrible robber or murderer, but when he sees a small child smile, he also smiles. So that is the power of a small child smile. And here we have Krishna, right? So it just melts the heart, purifies, and then devotion to the Supreme Lord naturally awakens. And the most interesting benefit of hearing Krishna's Balya Leela is it just helps to develop deeper bond amongst devotees, because when everybody's like huddled together and they're listening to Krishna's Balya Leela, somehow the relationships amongst devotees by Krishna's beautiful potency, it just deepens, which I thought is like very interesting and very, very nice, right? So this are the 7 benefits of hearing Krishna's Balya Leela. So all these beautiful pastimes, we're very, very fortunate to hear them through Srimad Bhagavatam. Extremely, extremely grateful to Srila Prabhupada for the translations. If it wasn't in English, there's no way, at least I would have ever got to understand and hear. Very, very grateful to Guru Maharaj's who have explained, and all our fantastic acharyas, our Guru Parampara, who have given different various commentaries, and then their heart is inclined in certain different the way their hearts are oriented in different rasas. They give different explanations of the same pastimes. So extremely grateful to our Guru Parampara, to Guru Maharaj, to Srila Prabhupada, and all the wonderful devotees. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to speak and purify my own heart today. Any mistakes that I've made, kindly forgive me as Paramahamsas. Please try to see the whatever little good that anything which has touched your heart is only by the mercy of Krishna. Please try to imbibe that, and any mistakes I've done, like Paramahamsas, kindly forgive me. With this, I'd like to end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taruni Radha, for enlightening us and giving us the taste to hear the childhood pastimes of Krishna. And you took us there on the banks of Yamuna as Krishna was jumping on Kaliya's head. I was like watching, and so sweet, very sweet narration. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Las Manjari, Rasasthali, any realizations you want to share? Or you want to ask some questions to Taruni, because she's done research on this topic and we could ask something.
I forgot just one more thing that I want to mention. He was there. He allowed Kaliya to like embrace him, right? Or for almost like one more, so that is like 48 minutes. Yeah, so that was interesting too. He was just waiting for everyone to like come. So he was just allowing that to happen. He just by his glance, just by his Ichha Shakti, right? He could have just finished up Kaliya. But then this was the Leela which happened. And also he was remembering his past life. That what a great sage he was. So it wasn't, Krishna is not just seeing the demoniac propensity right now, he's also seeing all the accumulated past lives. What is the, status of the soul? Is he ready to become my devotee? And then he gives mercy causelessly. That's also there. Yeah. Any questions? Any comments? Your devotees. I feel some
I
people
was
only.
I kind of had a kind of a question when you were speaking about Krishna. Always Krishna will maybe initially he'll make us feel like get something, but then he'll always expose our whether it's envy or whether it's from what I understood, it could be
Yeah.
envy, it could be selfishness, some character defect. Okay, that's what I understood. So there's always a point where Krishna will expose that character weakness or character defect, right? Like that. It made sense. At the same time, my question was something like, what if I am unsure about how to work on my character defect? And I know that I have a character defect, and I'm afraid, let's say I'm afraid that, oh my God, what if Krishna exposes it? It's not like I'm proud about it. I do want to get rid of it. So I was just kind of like a question in my mind, like, what do I do with it? And like, is exposing the, like, of course, you also did say we may think Krishna will do it this way, but he may not do. He has his own plan, right? So I was just wondering. This question came to my mind, like, what do I do with my character defect when I know, but I'm unable to, like, say, remove it? Especially, something like envy. I may want to remove it, but it may not be easy. It may not be an overnight process to remove that kind of a demoniac or a negative habit.
Yeah. When some of the devotees ask the question exactly like what similar lines, like the way you've asked, sometimes almost like same, I guess. And my Maharaj, what he says is like, congratulations, welcome to the club, like that. Like everybody is like that. But then what I would like to say is, just apart from that, like he says, like this is just the material world. This is where we are. This is very, very common, And then one more thing is like one great thing that I would like to say is, you are so lucky that you even are aware of it. Many people are just having it, they don't even know about it, right? Just knowing it, that is like 50% of the work is done. I had this chemistry teacher who said, like, one of my friends, students, they're like, oh, teacher, this particular equation, every time I'll get stuck with this. Every time I'll make mistake. And she's like, fantastic. 50% of your work is done. You know exactly where you're making a mistake, right? Imagine you don't even know, and then you go through everything. You always make a mistake with it, but you're not even realizing. But now you've realized it. That's like, half the problem is solved, right? Because you're even aware of it. So that's fantastic. That's there. So now after that, what just like Kaliya, we need to just humble ourselves and really cry out. This is what exactly the acharyas have said. And while going through it, I was just reading, and this particular point that I shared, that which you understood so well, is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. It was his explanation of how sometimes Krishna allows his envious people's plans to just, what do you say, happen. He'll allows that, for them to like prevail, for them to have victory, but then ultimately he'll expose them. This was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj explaining. So when you were talking about that is for with other people, now with our own self, like what you're saying, 50% is done because we're aware of that anartha. Becoming aware of the anartha itself is like so hard, right? It is only because of the strong bhajana kriya that you've been doing, that we become that we are doing, that we become aware of these anarthas which are present. Sometimes you might think, so what, last time everybody has it. It's not like that. We know that we are envious only in this, sometimes in this situation, sometimes with this person, like that. So that level of consciousness awareness is also coming because of strong bhajana kriya. And then my Maharaj says, what is a horse which pulls the cart? What is the process which takes away all these anarthas? Is bhajana kriya again. So we need to have very strong bhajana kriya. And during that time, we should just cry to Krishna. We are helpless. what hope do we have? What hope do we have? And if we are getting scared that we'll be exposed in front of others, so be it. Like when we are singing that Chaurashtakam, Danam cha Manam cha Tatendriyani, everything. I don't want, forget about my respect, forget about my wealth, forget about all these things which I'm attached to, my Lord. I just want you take away all these things, right? You just steal my respect, my reputation, my wealth, my everything. You are like the Sarvasya Choram, right? You just are a stealer of everything, and then steal my heart too, because that's what I want. So ultimately, you just have to realize that whatever he wants, it'll happen. We are like a puppet only, like how he made Kaliya dance ultimately to his tunes, right? We are also, unless we completely surrender to his tunes, the way he wants that particular character defect to be removed or to be exposed, whatever he does, he does. We just have to accept it as his mercy alone. And for him to even intervene, we need to beg for his intervention. Otherwise, why will he do that, right? He wants you to be happy. If you're happy the way we are, we'll just continue to be like that only. And we'll keep struggling. So we need his intervention so that we'll get out of it. And then, just like jaundice, like Prabhupada said about the chanting, beginning it's so bitter. Gosh, any austerity, beginning is so hard. You want to do anything more, which is on the positive side. Austerity is like the negative side. Even something positive you want to do, it's so hard beginning. But then you stick with it for some time, right? Then it becomes easier. How does it become easier? Just because you stick with it. Again, it is through Krishna's mercy only, right? So that's what it is. We need to just beg for his mercy, and then when we don't have to beat ourselves that this is what we have. We can balance out with something positive, right? And then call out to him during those moments when we realize that this anartha is surfacing up, because we have to take his shelter alone. And in fact, when we are chanting, he is like dancing on our tongue, just like how this Kaliya's head, he's chanting. I mean, sorry, dancing, right? Like that envy, pride, whatever it is there, he's actually dancing on our tongue when we are chanting. So all of those will just get eliminated when we are actually calling out for him to eliminate those character defects that we have. But yet at the same time, we don't have to squish ourselves out, feel like these anarthas are going to kill us, or like what you say, feel so much low about it. Just becoming aware, and at the same time we need to move on to something positive. Like, okay, let me do this prayer really well, let me do devotee association very well, let me do something positive. See, in an environment of love, and in an environment which is very sweet, right, then only growth will happen. Growth will not happen when there is so much of fear, or something where there is kind of suppression. So that we understand. Same thing with ourselves also. We can't in our own mind, we cannot put ourselves so low and then keep giving us self-hate instead of giving self-love and self-care and all those things, right? All the good positive things, we should give it to ourselves in our mind also, like that. Yeah, I think I'm speaking too much. I better stop. Everybody's leaving.
No, I think they're just getting late for something else. But I really like this point that to be positive, otherwise the mind can trick me into going into tamas. And
Yeah,
then there is no, I won't progress. Guilt is not going to help. It's
yeah,
only going to, it's an excuse to not do any devotional service.
yeah. That I slowly
Yeah.
realizing also, Mataji. So true. Yeah.
Krishna is not a judge who punishes, he's loving here. Exactly. Thank you, Taruni Radha.
Hare Krishna,
Immensely,
Mataji.
I
Thank you
felt
so much
nourished
for
by
this
this class. Thank you
opportunity.
very
I was
much.
able to get deeper into this and understand it only because of your mercy. I really apologize for being late for those 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Sorry, really sorry about it.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah, thank you
Okay,
everyone for joining also. Thank you, Vilas Manjari Mataji. And before I wanted to thank everybody for joining, but then everybody left. I was like, oh, I was speaking too much. I'm speaking out too. I'm just being
it's
dragging it.
not like I know when you're a speaker, you think like that, but it has nothing to do with your speaking. They just have their own whatever appointments. And,
Thank you.
okay, Haribol.
Hare
It was
Krishna.
very devotional. It was very devotional as always.
Yeah, very sincere, very sweet, well researched, and very,
Complete,
very relevant. Very relevant.
relevant. It was
Yeah, yeah.
complete. It was balance of devotion